Ladies and gentlemen, I'm privileged and I'm happy today to be here with you. And everyone was like, why don't you give us YouTube content? YouTube content. And I was like, perhaps I don't have the equipment right now. I was like, let me use the first resources to make sure I can give you the first videos I have, because I believe in Christ Jesus that this is a process we are moving in. It's a process, and one day I'll make it, I'll have the equipment, and you'll see things change. This is a revelation we are going to use, and is going to be a testimony to everyone who's going to watch this video. If you're watching, know this is going to be a testimony for you. It's going to be a gradual movement starting, whereby I don't have the equipment. When I have the equipment, the life changes. And this is the first place I am in. So today, the first message I want to share with you, I want to share my story. I want to share my story so that you get inspired. Wherever you are, you get inspired. Like, who is MC Church Boy? How did he start his journey? And I'll make it in episodes. It's going to be a season 1 in episodes. I hope it will last for not many episodes that you will enjoy. So, but let us kick it. Let us kick into the first thing. This is episode 1. We don't have anything to waste. So let us kick to the first episode, and I would love you to enjoy it. By the names, I'm called Emorut Joshua Ben. I was born in Soroti, a place called Kengere. I grew up from there. My father is called Otwal Sam. My mother is called Nakanwaji Sora Hadija, who gave birth to 3 handsome men. Right now we are men, we're no longer children. Okay, who gave birth to 3 handsome boys. So, but my first brother is called Otwal Jonah. Yeah, right now he calls himself Sky Wizzy. He's a musician. He's a musician. Let me not call him a recording artist. He's a musician. He's also a producer, music producer. Followed by me, MC Church Boy, originally known as Emorut Joshua Ben. Then my other brother Olupot Joel, who is a doctor. He didn't do our musical journey. Yeah, he didn't come to and be family with us in music. But that is how God reveals things and makes revelations in things. So I was born in Soroti, Kengere, a place called Kengere, and I grew up there. My father is a carpenter by profession, but right now he preaches. He preaches. He's a pastor. He's not. He's a pastor. He's an evangelist. He moves preaching to people streets and streets, and he's fishing souls. He's fishing souls and bringing you to Christ Jesus. But before back then, as I told you, I'm telling you my story back then, how I came about, how I grew up, how I did my things. So back then, I was called Emong Joshua. Before me changing my name to Emorut Joshua, I was called Emong Joshua. So we grew up in Kengere. Then that time, my father was a carpenter, as I was telling you, and he was a DJ. My father was a DJ. We had a public address system, the biggest in the whole of Soroti. So my father was also a DJ, had a music address system. I owned it, and we by then I was born in 2002, 28th of February. So by then, uh, my mother used to sell tapes, music tapes, films. By then, you know those tapes, those cassettes, those radio cassettes, those small ones, and the big ones that they used to put in the decks. But back then, in our TVs that had box, that you could know them. Yeah, so my mother used to sell those tapes, and it was hard for you to get a tape, like a tape. It was expensive, and it was only for those people who had radios and Walkmans, because my mother would sell CDs, Walkmans in the 2000s. So we grew up there. We used to stay in town, in Soroti town, shifted near the main market. Those days, back then, we used to stay there. My father was a carpenter, and I grew up in a happy life. My father was rich, not all that rich, but was rich, and he managed to take me as family. I studied in King's Kid, a primary school, National Primary School. I studied there in 2006. Studied there in 2006. Then I proceeded baby class, middle, top class, I went to P1. Now from P1, there was a little bit of challenges. My father had got a problem. He was bewitched. He ran mad. Then he tried to come back. He was taken to the hospital for rehabilitation and he was treated. By God's grace, he managed to come back to life. When he came back to life, then now we had some small financial problems whereby we couldn't manage things because it was too expensive. Imagine in those years when you were paying 500,000 as school fees in 2006, 2005, 7. It was too much money. It was too much money as we paying for nursery. And I joined now primary. I was in my primary one. They think not all that's good, and that's when my father took me to Goshen. But then when my father took me to Goshen, things were not stable. Things were not working out very well. They were up and downs. We went to Goshen. It was a new school. It is also in Soroti in a place called Oderai. I went to Goshen for one term. Then my father took me to Father Hilda's. I went to Father Hilda's. It is a government school because we were running down. My father was trying to settle and look up back as a man, as you know. In boxing, sometimes say that you step back to organize yourself, then you step in. You pivot back to look up and continue the fight. So when my father came back, I was in Father Hilda's. Then God blessed him. He now chose to transfer his shop to Bukedea. So at that time, when he transferred the shop with my mom, my mother first went with my young brother to Bukedea. When they went to Bukedea, and after that first time, me and my elder brother, we were also taken to Bukedea. When I was still in P1, I went to Bukedea Township and I completed my primary one. I studied in Bukedea Township. By then, Bukedea was not the way it is. Bukedea was a village. That was in 2009. Bukedea was not like that. And we used to study in funny structures, let me say like that. Some of the students used to study in trees and some of the students used to study in houses. That way that you could get sand, then you just get let me say poles, these plants, these eucalyptus poles, then you stand them, then you just put the sand. We didn't have cement. They could put sand. You could have only like 4 blocks. That way good at that time. We studied there, P1. We could write on the ground. We had the small blackboards because it was a UPE school, Universal Primary Education, that President Museveni issued to all of us. So that back then I was in Bukedea. I studied my primary one. I was there. I was live. God blessed us. Then when we tried to stabilize back, when my father stabilized back, he brought us back to Soroti. Then when he brought us back to Soroti, we went back to King's Kids because at least things started coming back well. So we went back to King's Kids. Then after when we went back to King's Kids, I went to primary 2. I went to primary 2 and from primary 2 I studied in King's Kids, primary 3. Then primary 4, the devil entered into our family because we were living a happy life. God blessed us, our family. But God has reasons why He made that. So in primary 4, the devil entered in our family. The spirit of divorce entered. So my father and mother used to have small quarrels there and then. Back then, the devil was working his works. He was arranging his weapons to attack and make sure he separates. Because my father and mother got married officially. They had a holy marriage. The devil wasn't happy with that. So the devil tried to wanted to kill it. So my father and mother divorced. That was a step. By then I was called Emong Joshua. Please, I want you to get it in mind. I was called Emong Joshua. I'm still telling you my journey till who I am right now. So by then, the devil broke. Broke my family. Let me say the family I came in. Then my mother separated. My father also separated. But by God's grace, my father and mother had built a home for us. We have a home in Oderai. It's an acre of land. Building inside there, it's organized home. But when my mother and father separated, I don't know how the devil was using people. So my father's side didn't love my mother. But I don't know how they didn't love, because how can you accept to receive someone's daughter when you don't accept? And they were officially married, they had an introduction, they had everything that you could request. They had the marriage ceremony, they had everything, they had the introduction, the kwanjula, the way we call it in Uganda, that marriage ceremony. The first marriage ceremony, like you go and introduce yourself to the parents, and then even you pay bride price. So I don't recommend it. Like, my father's side hated my mother's side, because how can you pay dowry for someone you don't like? Even your son has chosen, but if the family is against it, the family will also support, but they should support in it. So it was the devil's works. So then my mother and father divorced. My father's side came. My father's side came to chase. They didn't come to settle issues. They came to chase. They didn't come to settle issues. They came to chase. My mother's side came, wanted to settle issues, because they were married, and they say what, there's what they say in the biblical way, that what God has put together, no person can separate it apart. So my mother's side came with purpose of reunion. My father's side came with purpose of divorce, of breaking it. So my father's side came with everyone, because by then my grandfather had died. Someone who was keeping the clan, keeping us together, bonding us together, had died. So we had also problems back then. When my grandfather died, things started changing also at home, because my grandfather was the one standing for everyone. Perhaps they didn't used to love my mother, but my grandfather was standing, and my grandfather was rich. He's called Jonah Otwal. So he died by then. So when this people came with the purpose of destroying, like breaking the marriage, they came and they organized their divorce letter, and they were like, they want it official to be divorced, that they let the divorce be real. So when they came with that, they wanted my mother to sign the divorce letter, so that it is officially proved that they have divorced. But the divorce letter had tormenting words, whereby it was like my father has divorced because my mother has got another man, and he has abandoned us as children. Yet my mother did not abandon us as children. That was what the letter was bearing. So as my mother is also educated, my father is also educated, but the way they wrote the letter, it was indented. It was not proved. It was not in the right point that it was how it's supposed to be. So yeah, my mother refused to sign. They threw my mother's property out. Then my mother left. Then suffering comes in now. The suffering comes in there and then. Yes, dude, suffering came there and then. So, episode 2. Episode 2. It's coming. I'm bringing for you. I'm breaking for you how I became MC Church Boy. How people, how I got famous, and how people are liking me. But I'm still bringing for you the story in the way it is. Watch for episode 2. It is going to come next week. This very day, same time.